Let me start by asking a question. How many of you have ever taken a course at PVCC? Anybody? Oh my gosh, look at that. What about, keep your hands up. There's a test to see if you can eat and keep your hands up. Gina, you're doing well. What about family members? Add your hands if any family members. In the back, we got you. All right. You know, if I go around any community in Central Virginia, and as Jim said, I'm out doing this. Jim said twice a year, it's more like twice a month. You know, any community I go to, if I ask who's taken a course at PVCC, add family members, what about your employees or coworkers, in any room I go to, about 2/3 of the hands go up. That's what a community college is. That's the way it should be. We are the community's college, and if I don't get 2/3 of the hands up, we're doing something wrong. And fortunately, that usually is the case. We see lots of folks. I'm going to try to cover 5 questions real quickly this morning. I'm not going to take a lot of time, but I want to hit 5 key questions that might be on your mind. Let's see if I can remember them without going back to my notes. First, what's our mission? Second, who do we serve? Our students. Third, why do they attend? Fourth, what happens to them after PVCC? And last, and sometimes it feels like least, where's our funding come from? And that does feel like least, trust me. All right, so here we go. Let's cover those 5 in about 15 minutes or so. What's our mission? I don't know about you, but I hate mission statements. Yeah, Steve's right. I see your head bobbing up and down. I hate those 1-sentence or 10-page mission statements. You never quite know what anybody does when you read those. So I boil our mission down to 4 key areas. The first one is access to college. We believe that a post-secondary education after high school should be available for everyone. It shouldn't matter your race, your gender, your economic status. It shouldn't even matter if you were a good student in high school or if you've been out of high school for 25 years and you're just coming back into education. We're an access institution. Our goal is to get as many people into post-secondary education as possible. We're what's called an open door institution, meaning if you have a high school degree or a GED, you're automatically admitted. There's no entrance tests, you don't have to submit SAT scores, none of that. We're an access institution. As an access institution, it's imperative that we keep our tuition as low as we can. Otherwise, what good is it, right? You shut people out of access if your tuition goes too high. Our tuition's been going up, there's no doubt about that, and we'll come to that when I talk funding. But we're right now at $133 a credit hour, which means if you take 15 credits in fall, 15 credits in spring, that's, you know, typical full-time load, the total bill, all tuition, all fees, would be right under $4,000. Now, that's higher than it was. It was more like $2,000 when I got here many years ago. But compare that with, well, you pick the school. JMU is probably around $9,000 or $10,000. UVA's over $12,000 now for in-state. So we're somewhere around 1/3, maybe 40% of the next lowest cost option anybody from this region would have. You know, of course, private schools are going to be way more, as you all know. But even if, you know, if a student's coming out of the high school and money is an issue and they're looking at cost, we're going to be about 1/3 the cost of the next choice they have. So we keep that tuition as best we can, as low as we can. All right, that's access. Oh, one other point on access. Again, if you want to make education available to everybody, you've got to have a pretty flexible institution. You can attend PVCC day, you can attend night, you can attend weekends, you can take your courses over the internet, you know, in your pajamas at midnight, as they say. You know, again, if you're going to serve a diverse audience of students, you've got to gear your institution up to help them fit college in around the busy lives that they have, and that's what we try to do. Second part of the mission is student success. We succeed when our students succeed. It's that simple. Now, we don't lower the bar educationally to help them succeed. That wouldn't pay off in the long run. Because when I talk to you about what do our students do after they're with us, they go on to jobs. They go on to universities. And if you made it real simple, and then they go on to the jobs in the universities, they're going to bomb out. That doesn't do anybody any good. So what we stress is keep the standards high, but gear up the institution to raise people up educationally and develop their skills, their knowledge, to bring them up to where they're ready to succeed wherever they go next. Student success is what we're all about. Based on that, again, if you look at the students we serve, as an open door institution, we serve a lot of students who weren't the best in high school. We serve a lot of adults who have been out for many years and have forgotten things they learned in high school, or they're really scared to be coming back to education. So we gear the institution up, a lot of advising, a lot of counseling. We have a writing center, a math center, a learning center, a tutoring center, all free. And once you pay your tuition and fees, that's it. All that comes with it. You can get tutoring in every subject we offer. Basic skills work, math and writing is very essential for our students. We gear the institution up to help students succeed. Third point is we're a teaching institution. Our faculty teach. They teach a lot. They teach a really heavy load. Most of them teach 5 courses a semester. If you go over to UVA, the average is probably 2 a semester. For some, it's even less than that. Heavy teaching load, but they're not expected to do research, although some do. One of our award-winning faculty, history faculty, Colin Leckie, he's a scholar on Russian history, and he just published a book on that and just had a Fulbright last year to go over to Russia. But that's not expected of them. They're expected to teach, interact with students, engage students. We're a teaching institution. Small classes. Average class size, about 20, somewhere in there. If you come to PVCC, there are only a handful of classes at the whole college that would have more than 40 students. And those are classes where you then break into small groups for labs or clinicals, like our nursing program. The lecture in our nursing program is about 80 students. But then you're out in clinicals the rest of the time in small groups. There's only 4 or 5 classes that'll have more than 40 students in them. And that's part of our belief. Even our internet classes, we don't run up over 40 students. I mean, you've heard about MOOCs with hundreds of thousands of students. That's no way to teach, at least not in our environment. We need interaction between faculty and student, even if that interaction is email and discussion boards and chat rooms. That's why we limit our internet courses to the same size as our courses on campus. We don't make a lot of money that way, but we think we educate the students better. Fourth part of the mission, community. Community is our middle name. We are here to serve our local communities. That translates primarily into working with economic development and workforce development. As Bobby and Steve know, I'm on the board of the Thomas Jefferson, got it wrong, Central Virginia Partnership, I'm an old timer, Central Virginia Partnership for Economic Development. I'm also chair of the Chamber of Commerce Board in Albemarle and Charlottesville. We connect with employers to try to make sure that we have the right programs preparing local people for local jobs, so that our employers have the skilled workforce they need to be successful. And Valerie, if you haven't met Valerie Powell Mountain back there, part of, as Dean of our Workforce Services, they develop contract training for businesses. They develop short courses, seminars, workshops to specifically work on skill development of our workforce. Either people coming up trying to get jobs or people already in jobs who need to advance their skills. And that's a big part of what we do, and we serve our local community as part of it. So So if you add those four together, access, success, teaching, community, you pretty much know what we are and what we do and why we're different from a university. All right, so that's mission. All right, let's talk about who comes to us, students. This past fall, enrollment was 5,600, a little bit over 5,600. We've been on a very sharp increase. During the recession, people go back to school. You know, if people get laid off from their jobs or they think they're going to get laid off from their jobs, they need to prepare for a new career, back to college they go, they come to the community college. About 6 years ago, our fall enrollment was about 4,100. Now we're up to 5,600. It's starting to level off, which is actually a good sign that people are getting their jobs back, that the economy is picking up. We're kind of a barometer on that. The fact that our enrollment is now pretty level is probably a good sign about the economy compared to 3-4 years ago. Enrollment from Fluvanna specifically, last fall was a little over 600. That's been going up also. We were at like 550 or so a handful of years ago. And over the course of an entire year, if you take a fall, spring, summer, if you take our credit classes and the non-credit classes that Valerie offers, we touch about 1,000 individuals from Fluvanna County. And overall, that's out of a grand total of about 12,000. About 12,000 different people in a year take some kind of course from us, credit or non-credit. Now let me hit you with a few statistics, and I gotta go to my notes for that. I can't remember all that. We talk about our student body being diverse. Let me try to show you what that means. 75% of our students are part-time, meaning they take less than 12 credit hours a semester. Why do they do that? Because 80% of our students have a job while they're going to college. I always say, when I went to college, I went right out of high school to a residential liberal arts college. College was my life. You know, it was classes and intramural sports and chasing girls and going to parties, and college was life. That's what I did. For the majority of our students, they fit college in around life. They have families, they have jobs, they fit college in. 40% of our students are over the age of 25. In fact, of our graduating class, I think it was like a third were over the age of 30 that we graduated just last week. 1,200 of those students last fall were still in high school. As Gina well knows, we have a thriving dual enrollment program where students in high school can take our courses and earn high school graduation credit and college credit simultaneously. We have 1,200 or so last fall. 220 were from Fluvanna County High School. Fluvanna has been one of the biggest, in fact, has been the biggest supporter of dual enrollment in the 15 years I've been here. The most aggressive and getting the most students involved in earning college credits of any of the jurisdictions we serve. It's a great thing for the kids and the families. We have a wonderful deal with the high school that we reimburse the high school for using their space and their faculty. And guess what? We reimburse the exact same amount they paid us in tuition. The students and families don't have to pay. That's the bottom line. And they earn credits, and the credits are good anywhere. They're certainly good if they come to us. But if they go straight to JMU or UVA or Virginia Tech, the credits don't count. My own kid, when he graduated from Albemarle High School, he had 12 credits from us, 6 credits in English and 6 credits in political science. And he went straight from Albemarle to UVA, no problem, all 12 credits accepted. That was almost a full semester of work at UVA for free. I mean, think of how much money that can save families towards the university education. It's a wonderful deal. Let's see. Some other statistics, about 23% of our students are minority students. About half of our students are on financial aid. And that's what you'd expect in an access institution. About half are on financial aid. Most of that is federal. through Pell Grants or student loans. There's small amounts of financial aid from the state. Virginia is not a real big funder of financial aid as states go. And then our own foundation that Al serves on and Jim heads up, our own foundation provides almost $300,000 a year right now in scholarships to support our students. Without that, obviously, many of our students wouldn't be able to enroll. Last statistic I'll hit you with, a quarter of our students take their classes online, or at least one class online. Most of them mix. They come to campus for a class or two, they add an online class to get a few more credits. 10% of our students are totally online, and you can earn a degree totally online. But most of those online students are a combination, online and campus. So why do all those folks come to us? Half of them, their goal is to earn a bachelor's degree, and we're a stepping stone. We offer the first 2 years of your typical bachelor's degree, your general education as it's called, or liberal arts education. And we have what's called guaranteed admission agreements with every public college and university in the state and many of the privates. And those agreements say, okay kids or students, if you take the prescribed curriculum, the transfer curriculum, and you take the exact courses that you're supposed to take, and you earn a certain grade point average, which is set by the university, you're guaranteed admission as a junior after you graduate from the community college. So at UVA, for instance, you have to have a 3.4 GPA. So if you graduate from PVCC, you have a 3.4 in the curriculum you're supposed to take, automatic, guaranteed admission. There's no cap on that, so if there were thousands, they would have to take thousands. As you can imagine, there's not thousands, that's a pretty high bar. At a place like JMU, I think JMU's at a 3.0 for their guarantee. Other universities might be as low as 2.5 or even 2.0. It depends on how selective the university is. But the guarantee is wonderful. I mean, just, you know, it's like a warranty on your car. It's a tremendous thing for families to realize because, again, if you come to us for 2 years, you're going to save anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 a year compared to living on campus at the university. So you save that those first 2 years, that's how you have the money for the last 2 years. So about half of our students, that's why they're with us. They're wanting to take the step to the bachelor's degree. About a third are in programs that lead immediately to a job. And that's their goal. They want to get an associate degree, they want to get a certificate, they want a job. We're heavy in healthcare areas because that's where a lot of jobs are in our community with UVA Hospital, Martha Jeff, and the whole medical community. We graduate about 200 students every year just in healthcare areas. And their goal is to get right out and get a job. Although many of them later will go back and pursue a bachelor's degree. In fact, like our nursing graduates, we graduated 80 last week. They become registered nurses, and there's a very good chance if you've been to any doctor or hospital in the community, you've been helped by one of our graduates. They're registered nurses, but now both Martha Jeff and UVA hospitals require them to pursue their bachelor's degree within 5 years. And will usually pay the tuition, which is a wonderful deal. They'll pay for them to continue their education. And then about 15% of our students are with us. They have no interest in a degree. They're just taking courses they like. They take art, they take music, history, ceramics. Many of them already have advanced degrees themselves. They're with us for personal interest. So that's why they're with us. So what happens when they're done with us? And this, to me, is the key. If good things don't happen after they leave us, then we didn't do our job. And good things are happening. In a typical year, 600 students will transfer from PVCC to a four-year college or university. about 2/3 stay in Virginia, about 1/3 go outside. In a typical year, they'll be at colleges representing, 25 or 30 states across the country. And we'll have small numbers getting into places like Harvard and Yale and Cornell and Stanford and MIT and places like that. But the biggest concentration will be at UVA. We average about 125 to 150 a year transferring to UVA, which makes us the largest supplier of transfer students to UVA in the world. And then right after UVA in size number of transfers would be JMU, Virginia Tech, Longwood, Old Dominion University, and Mary Baldwin College. And the reason ODU and Mary Baldwin are so high, they offer bachelor's degrees right on our campus. We lease them space. They offer classes on campus. Now, it's not the whole curriculum, it's just certain programs. But many of our students, you can picture students in their 30s and 40s, they're married, they have kids, they have a job. They can't go off to Norfolk to go to ODU or go to a residential college. They need to stay home. So ODU has programs, Mary Baldwin has programs, and many of our adult students will transfer to those and stay right in Charlottesville. Along with the University of Virginia's BIS program, the Bachelor's of Interdisciplinary Studies. That is an adult degree completion program that UVA started, I'm going to say about a dozen or so years ago, primarily designed by Piedmont Virginia Community College faculty and deans. We were many of our folks helped design it, and if you read articles this past week about UVA grads, have you seen the article about Jerry Reed, the 71-year-old grad? Well, you might have missed this, but when Jerry in 2009 decided he wanted to go to the University of Virginia at the age of whatever Jerry was then, 65 or so, how did he get into UVA? He went to PVCC. He came to us, he earned his associate degree, he transferred. That's how he got to UVA. And that is the typical route for adults who are coming back to college and getting into any university. They're going to go through us. For those who are going out for jobs, our track record is very strong. We usually have a placement rate of 85 to 90% in jobs in their field, which we think is very good, especially given the economic times. And we did an interesting study just recently through the Virginia Employment Commission, through the VEC. They went out and they did the study for us, and they went to all the employers and looked at the payroll records and all this and matched it up with PVCC enrollment records, and some interesting things came out. In Central Virginia, there are about 100,000 employees. Of that 100,000, 18,000 had been a PVCC student in the past 5 years. It's almost 1 in 5. Now that might only mean one course, that doesn't mean a degree. But if you go back 10 years, 30,000 of the 100,000 had attended PVCC at some time during the past 10 years. So are we supplying folks to the workforce? I think so. The other part of that study was, of all the employers in Central Virginia, and there are about 6,000 according to VEC, 4,000 of the 6,000 had at least one employee who had attended PVCC. So about 2/3. So we feel good about those things. All right, so that's what happens to them afterwards, and hopefully it's good stuff. And I think I'm down to the last one, which is the bad news, and that's funding. Yeah, down to that. You all, yeah, I'm not going to cry too much, but you all know what's been happening with state funding.
Is this $100 a plate, Frank?
Almost. If it was to make up for state funding, it'd be a heck of a lot more than that. I'll just read statistics, and I'm not a big whiner. I'm not a big whiner, right? I like to play poker, and I always use the poker expression, you play the hand you're dealt. And that's my job as president. I play the hand I'm dealt. In 2006, the state gave us $9 million. And we raised $7.2 million in tuition. So 9 million state, 7 million tuition. Today, we are at 7.2 million state and 12 million tuition. Almost a flip-flop. We were about 60% state, 40% tuition. Now we're flip-flop, 40% state, 60% tuition. As the state has cut back, tuition's gone up. It's the only way we could fill the coffers to deliver the kind of education we need to deliver. Another way of putting that, remember, during that time, our enrollment has skyrocketed. So on a per student basis, back in 2006, the state was giving us $4,000 for every full-time student we had. You added $2,000 in tuition to that, you got about $6,000 a full-time student, and that's what we spend to do what we do. Today, instead of $4,000 per full-time student, the state gives us $2,400. So, you know what happens to tuition, it's up to about $4,000. That gets us back up to that $6,400 per student level, and that's what we need to run the institution. And that's, you know, it's just the facts. It's the way it is. What that does for us is it really stresses the importance of our foundation. For anything we do that's new, we have to raise the money outside of the figures I just read. The state money and the tuition money basically gives us what we need to just keep doing what we're doing. But if we want to add new programs, we got to raise the money. State doesn't give you any money to start anything new. In the last 2 years, we opened up a center in Greene County, the Giuseppe Center in Greene County. We raised $1 million from folks in Greene County in order to outfit that center, and the county gave us the space, 14,000 square feet. They gave it to us for free, but it was unfinished. So we had to raise the money to finish it out and equip it, and we raised $1 million, and we're in. We now have about 200 students a semester in Greene County in that facility. Same thing at the Jefferson School in downtown Charlottesville. We have leased space there, about 6,000 square feet there, and one foundation gave us $500,000 to cover our lease costs for 5 years. Another foundation gave us $500,000 to equip our culinary arts program. We opened up a culinary arts program in the Jefferson School, and $500,000 is what it took to equip that teaching kitchen. But again, couldn't happen without us raising the money. We can't just take it out of our hide. We don't have that kind of extra money laying around. This Friday, I'll give you a sneak peek, we're going to sign agreements with Martha Jefferson Hospital and UVA Hospital to open up 2 new healthcare programs next year. One will be in pharmacy technician, and the other is in a horribly named program called Central Sterile Processing Technician. Isn't that awful? I keep trying to say, can't you name that something else? And they say no. This is quite typical. UVA and Martha Jeff came to us and said, hey Frank, we're having trouble hiring enough people with these skills. We can't find them. UVA is going to open up a whole new big pharmacy wing in that new building that they're building up near the corner. And they're going to need pharmacy techs. So they came to us, hey, can you guys start a program? Yes, we get our faculty and deans with them. They're going to pay us $90,000 a year for 3 years to help start it up. And that'll cover the cost of a faculty member, salary and benefits, and a little bit of startup equipment. They know the only way we can start a program is with some financial help. But they do it because it's good business. They're going to hire our grads. And it's a good investment for them to invest in us. They get local people with ties to the community who are going to stay in their jobs.
Is this a year's program for the pharmacy?
Yes, each of those, they'll be either, I think they're going to be 2 semesters. We're still developing the curriculum, but I think there'll be 2 semesters. And the pharmacy techs, what I'm told, and this is Pharmacy tech is all UVA. Martha Jeff didn't really need those, so it's all funded by UVA. Typical pharmacy tech starting salaries are about $18 an hour, they told us. And the central sterile processing, both UVA and Martha Jeff need. And these are folks who basically sterilize instruments, is what I understand. And they desperately need people trained in that. And it's a pretty short-term, entry-level kind of program. We might be able to do it in one semester. And their salaries are maybe only about $12 an hour or so to start, but there's opportunity to move up. And hopefully we'll be able to attract folks who are looking to do more than work at fast food, let's say, who want to take a step up professionally and have a career. And hopefully they'll come into that program. So we're going to sign that agreement Friday morning, and that's quite typical for how we have to work financially. Fred?
Frank, you mentioned your online programs, and that can be a pretty extensive revenue stream for a college or university. So how robust is that at the college?
It's interesting. We've had this talk at the board one summer at one of our board retreats with the MOOCs issue, the massive open online courses, as that has become a national phenomena, and UVA was getting involved in it, and there was a lot of media attention. You know, these are courses where they're trying to enroll 50,000 people in a course. Right now they're all free though, and the universities are trying to figure out how to make some money off of it. We had a discussion with the board, is that where PVCC is going to go? And the answer was no. We're in online education for access. We're in online education to make our programs and courses available to people who are busy, who can't get to campus, who have transportation issues, whatever. And we're going to deliver them in a way we think will provide quality education. And our goal is that the students in the online courses will complete the course at the same rate as the students in our traditional courses, which is about 75 to 80% finishing the course and earning passing grades. We monitor that very closely. We give the same final exam in the online course, the on-campus course, because they need to learn the same stuff and they need to learn it at the same level. In the MOOCs that the universities are doing, only 5% of the students are completing the course. That's all.
No, and I'm not talking about MOOCs, because I think MOOCs will go away eventually.
I think so
Because
too.
they don't provide any real value.
Yeah.
But online courses, I mean, I teach at an online university, I've done it for over 15 years. It's a very reputable and reliable income stream for a college or university.
Yeah, and for us it is. It's not a huge money maker because we don't oversubscribe. You know, since we limit the size of the class to the same as on campus, so we've got one faculty member and we've got 40 students, let's say. You know, the way to make more money on it would be instead of 40 students, 80 students or 100 students, but it would dilute the quality. So we make this, what I'm trying to say is, we make the same amount of money with an online course as we do an on-campus course. There's really no financial difference. Students pay the same tuition, faculty get paid the same amount. Those are our biggest cost factors.
It's very, very flexible.
Yeah. For us, what it does is it brings in more students, more enrollment, more courses taken, and that is good for our revenue, obviously. But again, our goal is really back to that mission. It's that access mission. Val, you want to add something?
Yeah, we offer an awful lot of probably close to 1,000 online courses through continuing education. And some of them are what I call brush-up courses, things in Microsoft Office or QuickBooks, things like that, where you can take this course, get it over and done with in a matter of a couple of hours, couple of weeks. And 2 lessons are released each week. There's a total of 6 lessons. You can do 1 a week and do it for 6 weeks, or do 2 a week and do it in 3 weeks. So it's very flexible that way. And then we also have the longer programs that lead to some type of certification. And you can take those, some of those can go for a year. And it'll lead to, it'll prepare you to take a test, an industry certification test. and from there you can go on and get a job. That area in continuing education has been our largest, no, it's not our largest, the largest growth market are the children, but that's second. We can't add enough online courses for the demand.
One thing also, we do not aggressively market our online courses outside the region. We do get some folks from outside the region taking the courses. I don't even know how they find out about them or sign up, but we really focus on our local community. And we've had conversation about this because some community colleges are doing, you know, they see the money out there and they're going out and marketing their online courses. Although Southern New Hampshire University is not a community college, it acts like one. Sure. And you've probably seen their commercials on TV for Southern New Hampshire. They are marketing their online brand nationwide, and they have been hugely successful. Paul LeBlanc is a fantastic president, and they have done a fantastic job. And that is a part, it's not their whole institution. They have an on-campus version that is their traditional version, and Paul created a whole separate entity to do the online version, and they've been wildly successful. We've talked about it, but it's just not us. We're really focused locally. I think we've already opened it up for questions. Why don't we open it up more? I think I've exhausted all I can tell you quickly. As Jim knows, I do this for new employees at the college, and it goes on for hours and hours and hours. You don't want that. What questions can I answer, or comments you have, or even advice or suggestions or complaints you have? Bobby?
Comment. We were at a dinner yesterday with Virginia Economic Development Partnership, their international group. And one of the things that came out of that was all the different ED partners are very impressed with Piedmont Community College, because we use them as a selling point for our communities. You know, the access to workforce development and all that, and the willingness of the college to actually tailor courses for companies is a big deal to a lot of companies, and that's just want to let you know that everybody has been. And
that's how we should be used. If a prospect is coming in and looking at your county to, locate a business or whatever, I am always available, Val is available to come to the table and hear about their workforce needs, look at whether we can assist them in any way, develop programs, what have you. That's how we should be used, and that's why I've been on the board of CVPED for 15 years. And I'm a continuing member of the board so that I do connect with all the economic development folks and engage in that. I still remember when Walmart was coming in over at Zion Crossroads. Even before it was public, it was Walmart. It had some secret name. I remember meeting with their execs who had flown in from Arkansas and looking at their workforce needs, what we could do, programs we could develop, because we can move quickly to get things up and running, and we can tailor them to a business's need. We don't have to say, okay, these are the courses we offer, choose from that. We can say, well, what do you need? What skill set do your workers need? We'll design the course around your need, and we can get it up and running fast. And we did that for Walmart. In fact, when they were interviewing, they didn't have any facility. They had to build the facility there, and they wanted to start interviewing people. We gave them the college on a Saturday, and I do mean gave. We didn't charge them. They interviewed 1,000 people one Saturday on our campus. They took every office, every classroom. It was quite a show, but we were glad to do it because we're a partner with our communities, and that's the kinds of things that we can do. And they've been a good neighbor. I mean, like I say, we did that for free, but then Tony Fernandez, many of you know Tony, unfortunately passed away, but Tony was on our foundation board for years, and Walmart became a contributor to the college. We became partners. Yes, Ms.
Our culinary arts program at the high school, how does it connect with your culinary arts program at the Jefferson Center? Can the kids go there and get a a degree in it, and then,
Where are we in articulating that, Gina?
We're,
Have you and John worked on that?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about that. I don't want to call it a barrier. There's some little messiness with testing and, testing through PVCC. What we're talking about is our students can, through the culinary arts program, it's not a dual enrollment program right now, but we are looking at that. So then that way they could have that dual enrollment credit. So yes, we're looking at it. If you want to hear all the details about so yes, we're looking at that.
Yeah, the typical way in the past has been through an articulation, so that the students take the curriculum at the high school, we kind of look at what are they learning and so forth, and we will give them credits towards our degree based on how those things line up.
Right.
So they might earn, 9 or 12 or 15 credits or something like that. But what Gina's saying, the newer version of that, and the way I think we should go, is dual enrollment, where we know the course in the high school is actually our course.
Right.
Our syllabus,
Same standards, right.
same standards, same text, same everything.
Right.
And then if the students in the high school complete it, they get the credits immediately.
right. Yeah.
And that's the best way to do it. And our Vice President for Instruction, John Donnelly, he's in charge of working with the high schools to work that out.
Yeah,
Works real closely with
Yeah.
Ms. Gillum as well.
Right.
And just an added bit of information about the dual enrollment piece, what we're finding, and we've had this discussion, actually Val and I have, and John, Brenda Gillum, who's Director of K-12 Instruction, is that there is a really, really deep interest to increase dual enrollment courses. And what's happening is there's a little bit of almost a marketing war in the AP world versus dual enrollment.
It's always been that way.
Yeah, well, it's bigger now, I think, what I see, and then you've got Blue Ridge Virtual Governor School, the impact of that, which is a phenomenal opportunity. We're working really hard to showcase all of those as options. Those are options that may work well for this child versus versus it being sort of a little bit of a marketing work. But
Yeah.
parents are
Right.
savvy, and I'll tell you, I push my kids to dual enrollment courses anytime I could get them in there.
Right.
Anytime we offer them along the way, because then that's articulated when they walk into a college.
And this has been an issue for 20 years. The idea is students in high school who are capable can start earning college credit. I mean, that's the basic idea. And the old way of doing that was through advanced placement.
Right.
And high schools all over the country for many, many years would teach advanced placement courses, which had a certain curriculum that the AP folks put forward. And then the students would take a test, a standardized test, at the end of the AP course. And the scoring of the standardized test is between 1 and 5. And for us, any student who has a 3 on the AP test, we give them credit for that when they come to PVCC. Now, many of the universities require a 4 or even a 5. UVA has moved to a 5 in many cases, which makes it harder. The issue with AP, and I'm very biased, you're not going to get an unbiased opinion from me. The issue with the AP, in my mind, is 2. 1, students have to pay for the test. Unless your school system's picking it up,
We pick it up.
you pick it up,
I
okay.
mean,
You have to pay for the test. And 2, if you don't score that required number, 4 or 5, you don't have any credits to show for it. There's no backdoor way of getting credits. You just won't get them. And some percentage of students, I don't know the figures, obviously they don't score high enough, they don't get the credit. With dual enrollment, there is no cost to the family, as I said, and whatever grade you get is the grade you get. You get a transcript from PVCC that says English Composition 1. It doesn't say dual enrollment, it just says English Composition 1, and you got an A, a B, a C, whatever grade you got. And when you take that to a university, well, there it is. If they accept C or better in the course, then there you got it. You got the credit. I'm biased. I think, and always have thought dual enrollment is a better deal, but I understand there's competition and different points of view, and many of the high schools we serve do exactly what Gina described. They lay out a buffet of options for parents and students, and they choose what's best for them. And that's the way it should be.
And
We don't. We
yeah.
also don't do dual enrollment in every single subject area that AP exists.
That's right.
Yeah,
And therefore, there are certain areas where it makes totally good sense for the student to take AP if the student wants to earn college credit.
and I think that the community needs to be aware that in order to have dual enrollment in that high school, you have to have qualified
Yes.
teachers.
And that's
So when you
and
start losing your qualified teachers, you're losing your dual enrollment. And in order to expand it, everybody can't teach dual. There are certain qualifications.
Right.
Right.
And that's an interesting wrinkle.
Have a master's.
Yeah, and I don't think sometimes the community realizes, I mean, the general community realizes that all the dual enrollment that we have in our high school is because we have qualified instructors.
That is correct.
And we have to keep them.
You know, there's always this debate over the quality.
Yeah,
Does AP have higher quality or dual enrollment have higher quality? And I can't answer that question.
yeah.
But I'll
everybody
tell
has-
you this, the qualifications to teach a dual enrollment course are higher
Higher.
than the qualifications to teach an AP course. Now, that doesn't mean they're a better teacher.
Right, no,
But you must, to teach any course for us in our dual enrollment, in the liberal arts general studies area, you must have a master's degree, and you must have 18 graduate hours in the field you teach. So if you're teaching history, if you have a master's degree in education, that's not good enough. You gotta have 18 graduate hours in history along with the master's.
yes.
That is not the case for AP. And we think it's because, again, this is a college course. Your subject matter depth of knowledge, we expect to be higher. That's why you have to have the graduate hours in the teaching discipline, not in educational methods. And I think that speaks to the quality of what we offer. But that's a debate I better stay out of. What else? What other questions you have? Yeah,
One
Fred.
last question. Having a community college in the area serves the entire spectrum of the population, from young to old. When my wife and I were in Fairfax, we audited a couple of classes at the community college, and because we were senior citizens, there was no cost to audit.
Right.
Is that the same policy
Yeah.
here?
Yeah, you were at Northern Virginia Community
Yes.
College. In Virginia, we have 23 community colleges. We're all a part of what's called the Virginia Community College system, and we are a system. We have one set of policies on tuition, admission, all those things, so the answer is yes. The senior citizen policy applies at all 23.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
With NJIC and the Library of Congress in the area, and just kind of the growing role of federal government in the area, I know you've got a new program with NJIC. Is that a market that you're continuing?
I'm gonna let Val answer, because she's the guru of that program.
I'd love to tell you, but I can't.
You'd have to kill her if she gives it away.
Shoot everybody in the room. Yeah, we've been working very closely with them. I'm going to stand up because nobody can see me. We've been working very closely with there are actually 3 agencies in Rivanna Station. They would prefer to be called Rivanna Station rather than by their individual agency names. And what's happened because of sequestration, the good news, bad news kind of scenario, the bad news is they lost a lot of money. The good news is that they are now sharing that the smaller amounts of money is one big pot. So that they are talking to each other, the agencies are talking to each other to consolidate their training dollars and offer training programs for all 3 agencies up there. So we've been working with them. Working with the federal government is different than working with anybody else on the face of the earth. They speak their own language. They have very specific requirements. And what they're hoping to do is work with us. The point we keep making is every president, Obama, Bush, Clinton, the elder Bush, all talked about the community colleges and how how community colleges were such a vital resource to our workforce, but none of them have done anything. What we're trying to do is tell the military, the DIA in particular, that use us. We're here, we're a resource. We have the connections, we know the instructors, we know everybody in the community. We know how to reach the instructors. We can customize and develop curriculum specifically for their needs. And we can do it at a far less price than what they would have to pay in the open market. So yes, we are working with it.
And also for the last,
Library of Congress, if you take a look at the geography, it's Germanna Community College, but they are working with the Library of Congress.
but one of the things that Val's area has offered the last 2 years is an intelligence analyst program. And it's a 10-week program, full-time instruction, where an individual must come in already with a bachelor's degree or military experience. And then in 10 weeks, they are really taught how to be an intelligence analyst, which is the position that DIA and NGIC have here in our community. And that's been a real specialized area that we've been involved in, and we've had, how many graduates?
About 80.
About 80 graduates. Many have had to leave the area to get jobs, and that comes down to what Val was saying about funding cuts, sequestration, so forth. But many have gone to Northern Virginia and gotten very high-paying jobs there, but some have gotten jobs at our local installations here. The future of that program will depend on their needs. It's one of those programs, we gear it up when it's needed, we shut it down when it's not. And so it's not offered regularly. I think the next version is in September.
September 15th.
We'll take in the next class in September and work on that. So that comes back to what we talked about serving our community. You wouldn't do that if you were, located in Southside Virginia. It wouldn't make sense. But with those employers in the Albemarle County area, it does make sense for us.
We're going to start, the quick, is part of the solution is market early.
Yeah.
So start this fall for next spring. We started winter for spring, and then, just pushing out emails and Facebook and all this.
We've had the same discussion with, when we met with the Buckingham County leadership team and Board of Supervisors. We had the discussion there. In Nelson County, we had the same discussion there.
Right.
But it just keeps coming down to the numbers. Can we attract, it only takes about 10 students for us to break even on a course. Can we attract 10 students in the same course
Right,
at the same time?
yeah.
And if we can, we'd love to do it.
Can I talk about our children's program?
We've got to watch time. Why don't we hold, and if you want to stay, you want to hear it?
Yeah,
All
at
right.
least a minute. We got
Go.
10 minutes, no, I can't do it in 10 minutes. We have our children's programming, and we started this about 5 years ago. This is for the real little ones. We've been talking pretty much about adults, 18 and older, but we started about 5 years ago doing children's programming for 3rd grade through 9th grade. And these are the kids that, they're too old, they need some kind of a babysitter, they're too young to be left home alone. And we started up programs primarily in the STEM areas, science, technology, engineering, and math, to keep them active over the summer. It makes it fun, it makes learning fun. They do projects, they develop their own video games, and it's their week-long programs that we have all summer, starting June 16th and going until August, until school starts. We've got over 700 kids enrolled for this summer. So I'm real calm right now, but months from now I'll be crazy. They're at Piedmont right now, but we're also doing some summer camps at Computers for Kids at their facility at the X Building, and Gina and I can add that to the list. Bring them out here because they're just a lot of fun.
And I know we're short of time, but I think it's important to say that what we want to do is use that as a springboard to push into our schools, not only just during the summer, but bring those kind of programs here where we can have some, because we have a lot of Fluvanna students who enroll in this, but also we've purchased, for example, a robot for the 5th graders. STEM is not the list of courses. STEM is how you teach. It's the instructional methodologies in science, technology, math, and engineering. And so we're working really closely so that we can snap some of your students and push them into our classrooms. So we're moving on that.
That's wonderful.
Oh, I'm excited about that. It's going to be good.
That's great. How about one more question, and then we'll let you all get back to your lives. Anybody?
Are you planning on expanding your campus?
Um,
If so, I know a great area to do it.
oh, you mean off the campus?
I do too. I'm with them.
I thought you meant expanding on the campus.
Right, she's right around the corner.
We'll see.
Do you want to mention the student activity center?
Yeah, our plans on campus, we really have, the next building we want to build on campus is a student success center. We need to bring all those services I talked about, the support services, tutoring center, learning center, writing center, math center, advising, counseling, all those, they're way short on space. And we need to expand their space. And also, we have nothing that approaches a student center. The only thing we have that is anything like a student center is about maybe from here to that wall, and that's it, for 5,000 students. That's the size of our student center. I mean, it's ridiculous. We need student space. We need space for clubs. We have like 60 clubs on campus. We need meeting space. We need gathering space, studying space. Our library is 9,000 square feet. In the new building that we've spec'd out, it'll grow to 15,000 square feet. Our main building was built in 1972. I think people thought Piedmont might get a couple thousand students if we're lucky. And it was built to that kind of scale. So all these spaces are in that old original building, and they just can't serve the numbers we have. So we tried to get the money this past year from the General Assembly, but they didn't fund any new construction in higher education. So we'll be back in next year. It's about a $20 million project. So but that's our next big one. The other thing, and this is very perhaps long term, we're in conversation, and that's the way I would put it, with the Charlottesville school system and the Albemarle school system. They share K-Tech, the vocational high school. We're in very preliminary discussion about maybe building a new vocational high school someday on our campus to serve Charlottesville and Albemarle. I went to the K-Tech board meeting last night, and they voted at that meeting to start doing a feasibility study of making that happen. Will it happen? I don't know. I mean, there's so many hurdles, but we'd be interested. We'd be interested in doing that, and at this point, they're interested in at least exploring it. So those could be the next two major initiatives on the campus. Thank you all for coming.